MetaStarrMedia.
On July 6, 2017, in the Obranets region, Czech Republic, two young people recorded their own fatal accident. 21-year-old Nikola Barbasova is the driver of the irresponsible act, where she decided to play with destiny together with her friend, 24-year-old Nikola Vorlova, who was in the passenger seat. The passenger in the vehicle broadcast her negligent action on social media, unaware that accidentally, while live broadcasting, she would meet a tragic end for reckless speeding.
Okay. No phone, telephone! Telephone! Okay.
Casting after the crash, showing all the anguish and the shocking minutes that followed, being seen by their acquaintances, even by their own family. What drove them to carry out this dangerous maneuver? Why would they decide to ignore all the warnings on the road? This is the brutal record of the reckless young women who recorded their last moments, about what was happening on their phone, than the disaster that was about to happen. The girls were waiting for someone on the transmission to point them to a place to party, or some guy who wanted to meet them. In the meantime, they started bragging about the dangerous maneuvers they were performing in the car, an act of recklessness for which they will pay dearly. Although at times the passenger may have showed signs of concern about how her friend was handling the vehicle, her interest in adding people to her broadcast and becoming more popular would end up clouding her judgment. Not only will her companion be looking out for something else, even the driver was distracted by something seemingly more interesting than the road she should have been watching with caution. Fate because he was flirting with them, when in fact, they were the ones who were completely disregarding the traffic signals and pushing their luck, stopping at nothing. The co-pilot, far from asking her friend not to talk on the phone while driving, makes jokes that will encourage her misbehavior. For her, it'd just be a funny moment in her transmission, but minutes later, everything would change dramatically. In the meantime, the driver was talking normally with her grandmother, without being too aware of the road, nor worrying about committing an extremely reckless action. What the driver didn't know is that this would be the last time she would talk to her grandmother. Because of her recklessness, she would never make it to the barbecue with her family. The driver was doing everything the authorities recommend not to do. Adding irresponsibility to their already long list of reckless behavior, the young women would want to brag about how fast they were speeding. This would be the start of the deadly moment. Until finally, and after 10 minutes of transmission, someone who was on their social media proposed a get-together to go have fun. This will be their last bad decision. While the driver was wiping the windscreen at almost 140 kilometers per hour, a bend appeared in the road, but due to the speed, the car slid and completely lost control, crashing into an anti-noise wall. To give you an idea of the violence of the impact, this is what a car looks like when it hits something at that speed. The vehicle is completely unusable, and the passengers are unlikely to survive the collision. The phone will continue to transmit, now from an angle that appears to be the back seat, capturing the atmosphere of the horrific scene. While people came to their aid, witnesses of the accident come to the aid of the young women. What their words and their tone of voice describe to us make us imagine the worst case scenario.
Hey, okay. No phone, telephone! Okay.
Sípek.
Jo, dejá, je ta druhá. Je tady zakliněná u volantu.
Rychle.
Není to nic velkého, nějaký drobné odřeniny. Třeba tady není tolik.
Dýchejte, nechci to kafe. A jen. To hrozně těžce dýchá, ta hotela. Nemáme je vytáhnout? Radši to, aby udělej.
While people decide what to do until the ambulance arrives, a woman arrives at the car to try to comfort the injured co-driver, the only one who was conscious at the time.
Dýchejte. Ležte. Bude to v pořádku, sanitka už jede. Sanitka už jede, nehýbejte se, prosím. Ať si neublížíte, ležte, prosím.
No jo, vypadá, že si teďka dechá líp. Jo.
Ležte, nehýbejte se, prosím. Ano, ležte, prosím, nehýbejte se.
Nikola Vorlova, who was in the passenger seat, starts to react slowly, but although she talks a little, she shows clear signs of disorientation, with no idea what had happened to her and how badly she and her friend were hurt.
Ležte, prosím. Ležte, nehýbejte se, prosím. Já se jmenuji Iva. Bude dobré. Bude to všechno v pořádku.
Nikola Barabasova was not as encouraging as that of her friend. One of them realizes that something isn't right. They have less time than they imagined.
Vydržte chvíličku. Prosím, vydržte chvíličku. Prosím, nehýbejte se. Vydržte chvíličku, pomůžu.
Minutes later, the air ambulance helicopter can be heard arriving at the fatal scene. The women are taken out of the car by paramedics, police, and a rescue team. The driver will be taken immediately by helicopter and the co-driver by ambulance. Before the latter was taken away, her father arrives on the scene, and it's he who ends the transmission on the phone. Nikola Vorlova, the co-pilot, suffered a concussion from a severe head injury and was transferred to the intensive care unit. However, miraculously, she survived this shocking accident. After everything she went through, she decided to stay away from social media, living with such a low profile that even to this day nothing is known about her, nor are there any interviews about what happened. Sadly, the driver didn't have the same fate. Nikola Barabasova suffered serious injuries, and a piece of wood from the acoustic bar pierced her throat. She died hours after her broadcast, one that her mother was watching live. Unfortunately, these types of accidents are more common than we think.
Velmi podceňují riziko nepozornosti a právě telefonování, psaní různých zpráv nebo i natáčení sama sebe ve vozidle je velmi nebezpečné.
The authorities are calling for more caution so that we don't continue to have tragedies like the one of these young women. They not only make the mistake of being on the phone, but to also ignore road warnings, so essential to avoid accidents. On the other hand, This tragedy could have been avoided if we didn't have an obsession with social media, seeking popularity at any cost. A situation that makes children and young people very vulnerable to committing follies like the one we just witnessed.
Please don't live and drive. Social media is not worth your life.